writing. It has already said that there are so many instances we shall need to know how to write a speech. In most cases, whenever you see someone presenting a speech to us, maybe during GAPA, Sports Day, important occasions, just know there is someone or that person has first prepared that speech, apart from the impromptu speeches. But in most cases, you first prepare that speech before presenting it to the audience or to your people. So it's very, very important for us to know, how do we write a speech? What are the procedures? What do we write first? What do we write next? It's not always just waking up and you say, yeah, I'm going to speak to people. I'm going to present a speech. No, there are specific aspects we need to follow. There is format we need to follow when writing a speech. So that is what we are going to look at. Let me hope you have a pen and a pencil there with you so that you take note of the important aspects we shall be talking about. So we are going to go straight to the point. I'm going to request Teacher Joel to share with us that document, and we see Teacher Joel. So as he shares, we need to also know that the procedure, when you're presented, when we are talking about what comes first, it should be that. In most cases, the moment you change the format, then you have it wrong. Okay, so for us, we'd say that a speech is a formal address delivered to an audience. Okay, so most of us have had people speak to us. Some of us are prefects, and at one point you've ever prepared a speech and you've ever talked to your friends. We've had the president, we've had our big people, we've had the teachers, the visitors, guests at school talking to us, making a speech. So it is any formal address delivered to an audience. We've gone ahead to say we should take note that a good speech delivery implies preparation prior to delivering it. That's what I've already said, that all the speeches we listen to, all the speeches we need to deliver, there should be preparation. And that's what we are going to look at. What do you do, or how do you prepare your speech? Okay, so that's why we need to understand the steps taken when writing a speech. A speech is indeed to inform, persuade, demonstrate something. So we normally write speeches, or normally present speeches to inform people. Okay, you can be talking about the importance of conserving the environment, the importance of GAPA. You're informing your people about something. To persuade, you have something, maybe you're advertising, you have something you want to talk about. You're persuading people to do something you want them to do, and then to demonstrate. Okay, so those are the importances of speech. Teacher Joel, you can scroll down. Yeah, we are looking at the different types of speech. It's important for us to know that we have for us at this level, we have 4 types of speech. We have the general speech, and the general speech in most cases is that informative. You inform people about the importance of forest. You inform the audience about the importance of education. Inform people about the importance of computer or ICT. That is a general speech. Then we have a vote of thanks. In most cases, we normally give a vote of thanks when someone has done something. Maybe you've invited an important person to your function, and you're supposed to thank that person. Then you will prepare a vote of thanks. We have a farewell speech. Maybe someone is going somewhere, your friend is going overseas, going to Kenya, going to Gulu for further studies and you've been requested to prepare a farewell speech, a eulogy or a tribute. This is mainly to do with praising someone, okay? So we shall look at all these speeches in detail, but what we need to know is the format in most cases for all the speeches we've looked at, the types of speeches we've looked at will be the same. The content will change automatically. The way you present a vote of thanks will be different from the way you present a farewell speech, okay? But you will realize that the moment you grasp the format, then you will just handle the question the way it is presented to you, okay? So we are going to look at the different steps. What do we do? What do we write first? What do we follow in case we are writing a speech? That is, it is very, very important for us to know that there should be something that is written first, something that is written next, something that is written last. And we need to know that something that is written first shouldn't be written second. That is very, very important. The moment you grasp that, then we are good to go. So whenever you're given a speech, a question, the first thing you first look at is, of course, to plan your work. We shall look at that later. But for us right now, what we normally think about is the title. Just like any other writing, a good piece of writing should have the title. So the same applies to our speech. And I've gone ahead to show you what a title should have. It is very, very important. The moment you leave out one, then you're not making a point, okay? So it's very, very important to have all the aspects of you're looking at there in the title, okay? So of course you state what you're writing. You're writing a speech, you're writing a vote of thanks, you're writing a farewell speech, you're writing a eulogy, you're writing a tribute. What are you writing? Next topic, speech about what? It's important. Then place or occasion, because sometimes the occasion might not be there, but we have a place where you're going to present that speech from. If the occasion is there, well and good, mention it. And then finally, the date when the speech is going to be presented. And I have an example there, a speech about the importance of GAPA. So a speech is what I'm writing. The importance of GAPA is the topic to be presented during GAPA competitions. So maybe GAPA competitions is the occasion, and then at Gaza High School is the place. And then the date will be 14th October 2021. You will realize that the moment you leave out an aspect, then you're off. That is very, very important. Then after writing the title, we shall go to B, that is protocol. So in most cases, I think you've ever had people, is it honoring, can I say honoring? People mentioning the different titles of the people present, protocol, but it should be the hierarchy, okay? In case it is a function, are you going to start with the students and then you talk about the head teacher and then you mention the head teacher last? That would be wrong, okay? So it's better for us to know, if it is a function, what is the hierarchy? Who comes first? Who comes next? Who comes next? Who comes next? And who comes last? And who comes last, okay? So it's very, very important for us to know that the protocol is the hierarchy of the different people present at the function. And we need to mention them to recognize them, okay? So if it is a function, maybe I can start the head teacher, the deputies, the teachers present or teaching and non-teaching staff, Then I have maybe the prefects, and then fellow students. Okay, so I'm looking at the teachers. So I'm looking at the head teachers, the first person, according to the hierarchy, the deputies next, maybe the director of studies, maybe teaching and non-teaching staff, maybe fellow students. So that is the hierarchy. And it is very, very important for us, as you conclude the protocol, tell us something general. You can either say fellow students, you can either say ladies and gentlemen, because we know that there are so many people who might be part of that function, but are not the head teacher, are not the teachers, are not the parents, etc. But they are part of that function. So it is always important for us to also recognize them. Fellow students, ladies and gentlemen. So a person like Irene, who is not a teacher, who is not a student, who is not a prefect, who is not a DOS, who is not among the, who is not the non-teaching, among the non-teaching staff, we will know that at least I am also recognized. So that is the protocol. We are going to see how it is written. So after that, we go to the greeting. So after the protocol, maybe ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. So what you should know.
Sharing, there are some questions here.
What you should know, you shouldn't first greet, because that is the commonest mistake. Most of us first greet and then you observe the protocol. Good morning, our head teacher, our deputies, our teachers. That is wrong. Okay. First. Yes, teacher Joel.
We have some questions. Okay, so there are some hands up. I don't know at what point you will.
Oh, there are hands. Okay, let me first take the questions.
So we have Priscilla. 2 people. Yes, there is Priscilla.
Okay. Isn't it better, because in speeches some people say all protocol observed, and isn't it better to say so other than going through a whole list of people present?
Okay, thank you. Johanna?
Oh, I had the same question.
Very good. I'm going to answer that. So, it would be very, very wrong, but at the same time right, to say all protocol observed. Why? For us here, we are giving you a question and imagining that maybe you're the first person to talk. So when you're the first person to talk, in most cases, you observe the protocol, you mention the list, okay? But practically, in case there are other people who have talked and they have already observed the protocol, that's when maybe you're the fourth person to talk during that occasion. That's when you don't need to go through again the protocol. But for examination purposes, we imagine that you're the first person to talk, because the question is directed to you as Johanna, as maybe Shona, as Melissa. Okay, so you should observe, you should mention all the titles. Of course, if there are 20, you're not going to mention all the 20, okay? Because here we are looking at the scale. Mention like 5, and then you're good to go, okay? Do not mention the 30, the what, no. It will depend on the occasion, okay? Let me hope I've answered you. For us, for academic purposes, we are going to mention the list. If you're having something practical, you're speaking to an audience, to your people, and you're the third or fifth person, then you don't need to observe the protocol. In case the people before you have observed, and if they haven't observed, and for you, you know that you should, then you observe the protocol, or you mention the list. Thank you. Let me hope I've answered you. So after the greeting, we go to self-introduction. Here the speaker introduces herself and the capacity in which she is in. Let me give an example. sometimes the question can dictate that assume you're the president, assume you're the prefect of this, assume you're the police officer, assume you are the inspector general of police. Yeah, so you should know that you're not going to say that I'm a student. No, the question is saying you're the inspector general of police. So you should mention an example like, my name is Nambirige Irene, the Inspector General of Police. Or my name is Nambirige Irene, the head prefect of this wonderful school. Or my name, it will depend. But you have to introduce, because we have to know who is talking to us. Okay? So this is the part where you need to talk about who you are and what you are. Okay, it's very, very important. If the question has not dictated who you are, and you see that maybe the question indirectly is talking about you being the head prefect, then mention the head prefect. If it's not direct, then leave it. But in most cases, the questions for us will dictate a certain post. So after that, after the introduction, you're going to state the topic or what you're going to talk about. So I know as teacher Angela will be taking us through the sample speech, she'll be taking us back to, you remember teacher Irene talked about stating the point. Now we are stating the point here. Teacher Irene talked about self-introduction. Now that is the self-introduction. So we shall get to understand it better. I know right now it might be a bit abstract, but we are getting to the point where we shall know how to write a speech. And we shall look at all these aspects we have talked about. What I need to emphasize, do not interchange. Do not greet and then you introduce. My name is Irene Nambirige. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Then you get a 0. They are supposed to be written the way they are presented to you. The moment you get that, then you're good to go. If you interchange, then you get 0. All the aspects I've talked about here will make you get a mark. If you interchange, you lose a mark. And I don't want us to lose marks because we are supposed to do the best and we do it right. Okay, so after the topic, of course, you go to, sorry, after stating, after the introduction, you go to stating that topic. You've told us that you're Irene Nambirige, so what? What are you going to talk about? You're standing before us. Sorry, you're standing before us. What are you going to talk about?
Okay.
You know, so we need to know what you're going to talk about, depending on the question you have. I'm here to talk about, or I've been privileged to talk to you about the importance of GAPA, or I've been requested by the head teacher to talk to you about the importance of GAPA. It will depend, and that reason will be directly derived from the title and the question. So after that, we shall go to, now that is the format, then we shall go to, in case you're to have a topic like importance of GAPA, define the key topics to, or the key topic to be handled. What is GAPA? We need to know. If it is about forestry, what is forestry? Of course, we need to know what the topic is all about. Give an introduction to the topic, and that is defining the key topics, and if it need be, tell us some examples. Or anything, or characteristics, anything you can talk about. And then after that, you give the points, well stated, depending on the topic. If it is importance of GAPA, then this is the part where you look at the importance of GAPA. If it is importance of conserving the environment, then this is the part you look at the importance of conserving the environment. Remember, we are looking at this time, we are looking at a general speech. So after talking about the point, other points, look at any other relevant information. You can give an advice. Yes, you've talked to us about the importance of GAPA. So what do you want us to do? We've heard, so what? What do you want us to do? Hey, tell them that it is at this point that I urge each and every one of us to embrace GAPA because it is important and it helps us move heights or something. Give an advice. Give an advice based on what you are talking about. It is very, very important because we are listening to you and we have listened to you. So what do you want us to do finally? You've given us the importance of ICT. So what do you want us to do with the audience? Do you want us to do something? If you want us to do something, what do you want us to do? So give an advice. Tell them maybe it's high time we embrace, it's high time we change our attitude towards ICT, and because it's the way to go. Anything you can give. I'm not going to dictate that it should be this or that, but remember that at least an advice is important. And then finally, you will conclude your speech. And when you're concluding, of course, just like any other writing, we need a conclusion. When you're concluding, you can just state, thank you very much for listening to me and never give up. Or thank you very much for listening to me, full stop. But you need to know that we need to paragraph each and every point here. If you're talking about the defining the key topic to be handled, that should be a paragraph. If you're giving a conclusion, that should be a paragraph. If it is an advice, that should be a paragraph. And for us paragraphs, we are looking at the indented paragraphs where we leave some space from the margin. I don't know whether we have some hands. Oh, okay. Laureen, and then Eunice and Johanna. I'm taking those three for now.
In that order.
Laureen.
When you don't say a protocol, then what will you say? Because we say, oh, protocol observed, good morning. Or do you just say, you just skip that protocol part?
If what?
I'm talking about like the practical thing.
Protocol?
If you don't say the protocol, like when other people have said it before you, like the practical version, do you say, oh, protocol observed, good morning, or do you skip it? Like,
no, you don't. You can just say protocol observed, good morning to you all. You don't skip it. You need to it so that they know that you have also observed the protocol. You have also recognized them. But for us here, we shall list the different titles of the different people. Yes, Shona.
Teacher, is there a point where we skip lines or it's just running speech, no skipping lines?
We don't skip lines, dear. Right from the title till the end, no skipping lines. Just because if you skip lines, that will be the block format of paragraphing. Remember, you're skipping lines and then you're leaving space from the margin. So you're just having katogo. So we need to have one type of paragraphing. And for us here, we are using the indent. Of course, the block is there, but we don't use it in English language.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Eunice?
So, teacher, I was asking about, you had said that when the hierarchy are too many, like beyond 30, we just give the headmistress like the first 5. That's right?
Yeah, you can give at least 5.
Then what do you say
Remember,
for
when,
the others?
when you
The headmistress and others.
you can say no, not others, ladies and gentlemen. I mentioned that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's when you look at, you will combine all the others you haven't talked about. But remember, we need to look at the important people. You're not going to call the guest of honor ladies and gentlemen. So at least we need to mention the obvious people, and then others can come in as ladies and gentlemen, the aunties, the uncles, the friends, the brothers, the etc, etc. Those will be ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Johanna.
Yes, teacher, I wanted to know, is protocol only observed by the people of a lower class to a higher class? Like, if the president is addressing a nation, does he have to follow it, or addressing people of a lower? Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. In most cases, when the president is addressing to the people here of a given country, his country, they might not. But when the president is invited to another country, in most cases, that president has to observe, has to mention other people. Or when the president has invited other presidents, I think we can have maybe the Independence Day, and then we invite the president of Burundi, the president of Rwanda, the president of Kenya. Then the president has to observe those to recognize them. Yeah. Have I answered you?
Yes, and for my second question, for instance, if the president of America is addressing let me say that G7s, does he also have to follow that protocol? Is anyone higher than the other, or does he have to follow it when he's talking to his acquaintances?
Yeah, he might not. He might not, because he's talking to the people of his country. So that's what I've said, that he might not observe that protocol. But when it's you talking and the president is there, then automatically you have to observe the protocol, okay? But when that president has invited other presidents or other guests from other country, then the president has to recognize them. Have I answered you?
Yes.
Okay. So you can lower your hand. So let's complete and then we go to something else. So we've concluded. After that, we need to know the language. The language used should be formal most of the time. So you're not supposed to use slangs, jargons, and all that. So in most cases, to beef up our language, it's better we use wise sayings, proverbs, or even quotations from that are recognized, so that we can have an interesting speech. And your advice not to use abbreviations and contractions. So with our language has to be formal, correct tense, correct spellings, correct paragraphings, and all that. And I've said that the format remains the same. I think I talked about that the format for the different types of speeches might remain the same. What will differ will be the content, because the way you write a general speech won't be the way you write a farewell speech. And then the language will depend on the type of speech you are writing. If you're writing to praise, then you need to know the language you use when you are praising someone. Okay, thank you so much. So for now, I'm going to invite Teacher Angela to take us through the sample speech. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Teacher Irene, for such a splendid presentation.
Thank you so much.
I request Teacher Joel to kindly share the screen with a sample speech so that we can go through it.
Excuse me, miss, I have a question.
Okay, as we wait for Teacher Joel to share the screen.
It's about to just give me a minute. The document is still loading.
Okay, okay. Okay, thank you, Teacher Joel. So this is a sample speech, and here is a beautiful question for us. It says, assume it is inter-house sports competitions at your school, and you have invited the Minister of Education and Sports for the function. As the sports prefect, you have been requested to present a speech about the importance of sports and games in school. So our questions are going to be of this kind. They're going to be very specific. They'll give you the kind of title you're going to assume. I'm the sports prefect. You are the sports prefect, you are the head girl, you are something. So let us always pay attention to the specific items within the question. So this time they give us the occasion, they're telling us it is inter-house sports competitions. And they're telling us that the invited people and the invited guest is the Minister of Education. Very beautiful question. It really guides the way we are going to write our speech. Teacher Irene verily gave us the aspects that are needed in the title. She told us that we must mention it is a speech, and this is indicated as the first item of our title. A speech about, they're telling us it is a sports competition. They're telling us as the prefect, you're going to make a speech about the importance of sports. So the title goes, a speech about the importance of sports and games to be presented during, she talked about the occasion. The occasion is given, inter-house sports competition. Very beautifully put. One, it is a speech. And what is it about? The importance of sports and games. And when is it presented? What is the occasion? The inter-house sports competition. Where? The place, the venue. It is at Mbuga High School. And when is it presented? When is it going to be presented? On 1st August 2021. Very beautifully put. And all the marks are there. Teacher Irene told us it must be an exhaustive title. Remember, we have a business of writing a beautiful speech, but we have another business of earning all the marks. We must earn all the marks. So one, mention it is a speech. What is it about? About the importance of sports. When is it presented? At the inter-house sports competition. What is the venue? Mbuga High School.
Teacher Angela.
Thank you so much. Oh, sorry for that lapse. So that is our title. So girls, we must have an exhaustive title. It is very, very important to have an exhaustive title. I'm seeing a hand. Paula, is it very urgent? Yes.
Yes, miss, I hadn't understood something.
Yes, Paula.
The point that you said to to give.
Or maybe a hand is
the
just up. Let me proceed. We shall take the rest of the questions at the end of the session. So Teacher Irene verily told us that the first paragraph of our speech is going to be observing protocol. Protocol is hierarchy from the most important guest around to the least important. All of us are very important, but we must really organize our protocol from the most important person to the least important. So here, the most important person is the guest of honor. This is how our protocol is observed. People, girls, we should remember the first paragraph after the title is going to observe protocol. So our speech begins with our guest of honor, the Minister of Education and Sports. Beautiful. You're mentioning it is the guest of honor and mentioning the person using the capacity, his capacity or his office. Our guest of honor, the Minister of Education and Sports, the Board of Governors present. Remember, this is a school occasion, and we have to really envision, we have to capture people who are expected on such very important occasions in a particular organization. And this is a school. So the school management is supposed to be there. That is the Board of Governors or even the PTA executive. I love the way we use the Board of Governors present, the head teacher, teaching and non-teaching staff. It is sports, our parents around, our dear parents, fellow prefects, students, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to you all. Fine, before we go to the greeting, protocol is observed from the most important person, the guest of honor, to the least important, who is ladies and gentlemen. Not that they are so low in hierarchy, but we want to include everyone around. So we also include the ladies and gentlemen. People, if it is a public gathering and there are very many people there, please always end your protocol with ladies and gentlemen. It is very, very important. So people, that is how we observe protocol. So another thing mentioned, our guest of honor, the Minister of Education and Sports. Please present their titles. It is very, very important. Protocol is always the first paragraph after the title, and it observes the important people around from the most important to the least important. Teacher Irene said that after observing protocol in the same paragraph, please greet. And greet formally. Don't tell people hi. So hope you're very, let us be very formal and say good morning to you all, because a speech is a formal presentation. So people, the title, capital letters, well written with all the aspects. After the title, we go to protocol. We observe protocol from the most important to the least important, and then the greeting. Ladies and gentlemen, full stop, then good morning to you all. That is the greeting. People, everything here is carrying marks. So you should be very, very, very keen when you're writing a speech. Title, protocol, greeting, all those are marks being earned. We are getting a skill, but we are still earning marks. So after that first paragraph, we proceed to the next paragraph, which is self-introduction. Tell us who you are by name and your capacity. In which capacity are you talking? So my name is Ndagire Shona, the sports prefect of this school. Beautiful. Tell us your name. Who are you? We want to know who is speaking. And in which capacity? The sports prefect of this school. I'm indeed honored to talk to you about the importance of sports and games in school. Yes, Teacher Irene told us, thank you, you're Ndagire. So what? Why are you standing before us? So tell us why you are going to talk to us. I'm going to talk about the importance of sports and games in schools. Well put, people, everything that is being mentioned here is earning us marks. The second paragraph is self-introduction. Tell us your name, tell us the capacity in which you're speaking, and tell us what you're going to talk about. All those are marks being earned. Let us proceed. So guys, I'm going to give you a chance to ask all the questions at the end of the presentation. The next paragraph is we are making our speech. We are indeed making our speech. You make your points. You're telling us about the importance of sports and games in school. Let us look at our paragraph. Our dear Minister, games and sports have enabled many students to get scholarships from other institutions of learning. Many universities give scholarships to the best students in sports because of their talent. To add on that, universities give an extra 1 point to any student who has excelled in games and sports. You're talking about the importance of games and sports. And what is the importance? It enables girls or students to get scholarships in institutions of higher learning. So people, the next paragraphs are going to be making points. You are making your speech. You're telling us this is the flesh, this is the content of the speech. Remember, in functional writing, we have marks for format, marks for content, and marks for language. People, this is where we earn our content marks. When we deliver the flesh of the speech, make your points, give the importance. The first importance we've highlighted is that students get scholarships. Actually, they get an edge over other students by getting an extra point as they enter universities or institutions of higher learning. The next paragraph. Work without play makes Jack a dull boy. Teacher Irene told us that use of proverbs and sayings is very important. It earns us an extra mark. It is part of our language. Beautifully playing around with language is going to make you a better student compared to other people, and you're going to get more marks. So I love this. Work without play makes Jack a dull boy. Sports and games indeed help us to get a break from the daily routine of the classwork. With these activities, we are always re-energized, and by the time we move into class activities, our minds are fresh. This helps us to grasp whatever is taught by our teachers. You're making a point that, sports and games help us get a break from the daily routine, and it re-energizes us, and it makes our minds fresh. Beautiful point. So you are earning marks for the content. So those are 2 points already made. You're getting marks for the content. You're delivering on why sports is very important. The next paragraph, sports and games help us students, or even all of us, to be healthy. We shall add a Y at the end of the health. So it helps us to be healthy. Since sports require us to do physical activities, we become physically fit. Since the calories which are dangerous to our cardiac health are dealt with. Jean Tani wrote, exercise should be regarded as a tribute to the heart. So we need to do sports as an exercise for the heart. Wow. There are quotations, sayings, proverbs, idioms are very important because they're going to cater for our language marks, as teacher Irene said. So people, as we make our speech, of course we are, speeches are supposed to be made. We don't want to be we don't want to be boring speakers. So we spice up our points with sayings, proverbs, and quotations. Quotations beef up our points and makes the delivery better and beautiful to listen to. So girls, we must really spice up this content with the good language, with sayings, with proverbs, and with quotations that support the points we are making. So people, this is delivering a speech. Another thing we must not forget is that speeches are delivered in present tense. You are speaking. It is a speech in action. That is why it is saying sports and games help a student. The tense is predominantly present tense. Speeches are made in present tense. Deliver your speech. At least have around 3 to 4 paragraphs delivering the importance. So have the content of the speech. So I request Teacher Joe to kindly scroll up and we see what we have in our conclusion. Teacher Joel?
Were they 2 pages?
Oh, thank you. So we are writing a conclusion. Teacher Irene told us, let us have the title, let us have the protocol, let us greet, let us self-introduce, let us have a self-introduction, name, capacity, then let us have the reason we're making the speech. Then let us talk about the speech, you know, what is sports, etc. Then all the paragraphs that come after going to be making the points. And after making our points well put out, then we write our conclusion. The next paragraph we have is a conclusion. And it goes, as I conclude, I'd like to request our minister to continue supporting all the institutions with the different items required for games and sports. Very beautiful. She's saying any kind of advice, any relevant information, you're privileged to have the minister before you. Can you ask for something? Can you send particular information you want to be delivered to the powers that be? So the conclusion is beautiful. As I conclude, I would like to request our minister to continue supporting all the institutions with the different items required for games and sports. Then to my fellow students, please ensure that you have a sport or a game you can get involved in so that we walk this journey as a family. This is a beautiful conclusion. There is something to tell the minister. There is something to tell the audience, the fellow students. So a call to them to really take up sports and games as something very important. So it is a call to the audience to walk this beautiful journey of sports and games with the speaker so that they can make their health better. Lastly, we thank the audience. We must thank the audience. You know, people giving attention for some particular minutes or particular moments is something great. So thank you all for listening. Thanks for being an awesome audience. Thanks for being such a beautiful audience. And she is ending formally in this speech by saying, and never give up. So people, everything we do in our speech, as we speak, let us conclude one, and let us always thank our audience for listening and end formally. Since it's Gaza High School, we can always end with our motto, never give up. Very beautiful report. So girls, that is a sample speech. It shouldn't be so lengthy. It should be spot on. It should have all the aspects Teacher Irene spelled out. People remember we must earn all the 20 marks. We must earn them because we can. Let us have all the format marks, all the content marks, and all the language marks. Paragraph, punctuate, you know. So don't have those errors. Edit your work so that you can have maximize all the points you must earn. We are learning a skill, but we are also earning as many marks as possible. So guys, thanks for listening to me. That has been our sample speech, and it is really reflecting back on everything Teacher Irene taught us. Thank you. Let me take you back to Teacher Irene so that we can handle that question.
Thank you so much, Teacher Angela, for that beautiful presentation. Let me hope at this time there are some. Let me hope at this time we are able to understand how we write a speech. There are some mistakes there, but we can correct them. They are just typing errors. So at this time, I'm going to take some questions, and then we call it a day. Paula.
Miss, can you hear me?
Paula, please come again.
Miss, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Miss, I hadn't understood properly. I'm still a bit confused. When you
Yeah.
say the protocol should be observed, and let's say you said it should go in order of hierarchy. So let's say you're the first in the order of hierarchy, like the person who's giving the speech comes first. Do they first address themselves, or they can just say ladies and gentlemen?
The person giving a speech, introduces himself later. The protocol is the hierarchy of the people or of the audience present. Okay, it is not, you're not part of the audience because you cannot address yourself. Okay, so the audience mention them. Okay, talking about their titles. If the guest of honor is there and you know his name or her name, you can even mention her name. The guest of honor, Honorable, the Minister of Education and Sports, Honorable Kajina Rebecca. Okay, you're not part of the protocol. That's why we have you to introduce yourself later. Have I answered you, Paula?
Yes, thank you, Miss.
Okay. Berita Nasimbwa.
Teacher, you put these words in each, like their own paragraph. Now for like the self-introduction, its own paragraph, then the topic, its own paragraph, then the points, their own paragraph. Like, because I saw some parts were mixed, like let me say like the title, the good morning part was next to the hierarchy part. So
Teacher Joe, please take us back to at the beginning of this sample speech. The beginning, can just scroll up. Okay. So yes, it's you say that is it okay to combine the introduction and the topic? Yes, you can, because the first two paragraphs you can combine, but if you combine everything, our guest and then my name there as one paragraph, it might be a bit long. Okay, that's why and if we have good morning maybe as a paragraph, then it might be a bit it might be lacking. That's why we've decided, because protocol and greeting are kind of connected, because you've observed and then you have greeted them. My students, good morning. So they are kind of related. That's why we have joined that two. So if you join them, it is okay. Okay, but at least let's have the second paragraph to look at the self-introduction. Who are you? And the topic. That will be okay. But if you want to have my name and then I am the sports prefect of this school, and then you have another paragraph or talking about the topic, still it's okay. But it will be better for you to at least have someone mute. So it will be better for you to have those two paragraphs as the way they are.
Okay,
you want, you can have Daniela or Shona next. Shona, talk, and then Daniela.
Yes, teacher, I had a question. The first one was, do they describe the time of day? Because I saw here they didn't describe the time of day, but we said good morning. Can't we just say like good day to you all?
Yes, you can. Good, you can. You can, provided it's greeting. What we are looking at is formal greeting. Do not say hi. Do not say hello. Do not say what's up, yo. No, that is not right. Provided it's formal greeting, because you're addressing a formal gathering where you've even invited the guest, the minister, then you can either say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever way, or I greet you all in the name of Jesus Christ, whichever way, provided it is greeting. Hope I've answered.
Yes, and then also, why do we say the board of governors present? Why not just the board of governors?
It is okay if you want to say the Board of Governors. It is okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Daniela? Akelo?
Teacher, what would happen in the event that you're supposed to give a speech and the people present are of the same level of hierarchy? How would you address them? Is it also appropriate to address them as just saying protocol observe?
No, it's not right to say protocol observe. If they are of the same hierarchy, mention like we say the deputies. There are two, but at least you've mentioned them. The prefects, there are many, but you have mentioned them. And others can be ladies and gentlemen. The students, there are many, but mention them because you know that they are part of the audience. What we need to look at is we need to be open, to have an open mind and imagine based on what the question wants us to do. Let's imagine if it's church, which people do we expect in church? If it is at school, which people? If it is at home, which people? You know, you need to have an open mind and say, now this is the question, these are the people I expect, and this is how the first person, or this is the first person and the last person might be this. Let's not cram what is presented to us now. Let us have that open mind. Laura.
So teacher, I have two questions.
But time is not.
My first question is, you say that we have 4 types of speech, which is the general speech, vote of thanks, farewell, and then the tribute. So speeches like motivational speeches and political speeches, under which type of speech would they lie? Are they broken down like into some other type of speech or something?
Those speeches can be informative speeches. You're informing, you're motivating by informing them what they should do or what is right.
Okay. Then is there a certain number of points that we must be having?
We are looking at least one page, 1.5. Okay. What matters is for you to present all the aspects the way they have been presented to us. I won't say that we are awarding marks for the points that you have 10 points, you get 10 marks. No. If you can give like 4 well explained, then you're good to go. Faith?
Teacher, imagine we are giving, when you say
Faith, a minute, please, Faith. Teacher Joel, is it okay if I get some 2 minutes so that I can answer the questions?
Let us just let's get these 3, the one from Kimberly and Tisache and Faith, and then we close, but we'll make it quick.
Okay, thank you. So 1 question from 1 person. Okay.
Teacher, if we are giving a congratulatory speech for someone's graduation, are we supposed to put in the date and everything?
Yes, we are. And later we shall look at how we can write a eulogy or a tribute. We shall look at that later. Mutoni, have I answered you, Faith?
Yes, thank you, teacher.
You're welcome. Mutoni?
When we are reciting a speech orally, are we supposed to read the title too?
No, you're not. You're not supposed to read the title. You begin with the protocol.
Okay.
The title is there because it's we are writing right now. But if you're presenting, then the title is deleted. We are assuming that every piece of writing should have a title to guide someone. Letitia?
Teacher, is it okay if you forge a quote, like you just forge any quote?
Okay, yeah. Examination purposes you can, but if you have it practically, then you must do your research. That's why we are telling you that you prepare. You might, then the people you're talking to are really informed. Okay, have I answered you? I think I have. Last one, Joanna, and then we call it a day.
Teacher.
Yes,
If a person is well known, do they need to introduce themselves that my name is? For example, if it is a person who's well known on the internet, do they need to introduce themselves that my name is? For example,
Okay, practically, practically, we assume that the president is talking to the Ugandans. Then the president does not need to introduce himself. But if the president goes to another country, the president will introduce himself. But for us here, we imagine that we need to introduce. Remember, we are teaching you the skills. So just in case you grow up, you know what to do. Okay, so it's better for us here in senior 2 or in O level to have the skills, to have the right speech, so that when you grow up, you leave out what's important and go with what you think is important. So for us here, let's introduce. Then if you become a president one day and you're talking to your citizens, you don't need to introduce yourself, baby. Okay, we are going to end here. I thank you so much. Thank you, Teacher Angela, and all the teachers.